Making builds in Elden Ring Nightreign is a bit tricky. There is a lot of RNG in this game. You don't really have control over anything you find in your run. And the only things that you really have control over are which relics you have on. But then the most powerful and interesting relic builds are completely reliant on RNG too. This creates a vicious cycle, where the fact that you can't guarantee what you find in a run influences your relic setup, and your relic setup in turn influences what you end up using in a run. And the end result is that you have so many runs that play the exact same way. And so in this video, and hopefully many ones after it, I'll try to showcase builds that sidestep this issue. My aim is to have builds that are interesting. I want them to showcase underrated and lesser known mechanics that you might not have thought to use. The idea isn't that they're the most overpowered builds or that you should use them every run, because otherwise we're just repeating the cycle again. And so it's just that they're interesting ways to shake up your gameplay while still being powerful. I have two setups for you in this video and I think they fit this idea very well. So without further ado, let's get to it. This video is sponsored by War Thunder. More about them later in the video. If I told you that the best weapon for attack trading in this game is a curved sword, would you believe me? What I'm talking about is the Magma blade. Now I know, it's not guaranteed that you'll find this weapon, but we'll get to that, I promise. What this weapon does is that it spews magma around with its weapon art. And this magma lingers on the ground, dealing damage over time. What you might not know is that this magma synergizes with the Millennia's Great Rune relic. If you're unfamiliar, the partial HP restoration on post damage attack relic effect gives you the Millennia's Great Rune effect. And what this does is that it restores some or all of your health back if you attack enemies right after getting it. For the Magma blade, it's not just the sword attacks that give you back health. It's all the magma that you're spewing around, resulting in absurd amounts of health recovered. I mean, look at this moment where I get grabbed like an idiot, but the magma I left on the ground gives me back some of my health. This setup straight up makes you unkillable if you know which attacks to trade with. Enemies like Crucible Knights or Grafted Scions don't know how to deal with this. They just keep attacking and you keep healing. You've probably surmised from the footage that you're seeing that my favorite character to use this with is Raider. But why is that? Well, Raider benefits from taking damage, because that's how he gets the charged version of his skill. And this playstyle makes that become available much more often without having to sacrifice nearly as many flasks for it. Not to mention that Raider gets a lot of health, being a tank and all. And so even though Raider gets less damage with curved swords, he's still the best character to use this because the benefits are just that massive. Now, what relics do we want to use with this? Well, this is the best part. We only need the MGR relic. And this is already a must-have relic on Raider. The reason why is that it increases your DPS tremendously, because if you use it, you don't have to roll or use flasks nearly as much. For what other relics to use, we have the two taking damage boosts damage relics. And these are also must-haves on Raider. And these will be active basically the whole time because of this playstyle. And well, as I said in my Raider guide, these three relics should be the basis of every single Raider build. Well, unless you decide to use great bows or something. And so by having these equipped, you're not undermining your run at all if you don't end up finding the Magma blade. Other effects you might want to look out for would be increased fire damage, and maybe successful attacks restore stamina, because, well, yes, the Magma blade works with that one too. The final relic effect that you might want to look out for is, I guess, the one that increases your FP each time you visit a Sorcerer Rise, which you do want to visit those anyway because they have Starlight Shards, which you do want a lot of because Raider doesn't have much FP. Next, we'll talk about how to get the Magma blade more frequently. But first, a quick word from our sponsor, War Thunder. Look, I know that you love tanks. You're watching this video and Raider is a tank, so why not drive a real tank in War Thunder? Or maybe you'd rather take command of a fighter jet, helicopters, or even battleships. War Thunder really does have it all. It's the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, with over 2,500 vehicles from 10 major nations, ranging from 1920s biplanes to modern-day battle tanks. You can join a worldwide community of over 70 million players in epic PvP battles for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or the all-new mobile versions on iOS and Android. And this lets you jump into epic tank battles, dogfights, and naval clashes anytime, anywhere, right from your phone with intuitive controls and amazing graphics. What really sets War Thunder apart is its amazingly sophisticated vehicle damage model. Every component of your vehicle, from engines to fuel tanks and crew, is modeled and susceptible to damage. And when a vehicle is destroyed, War Thunder shows you exactly what happened with X-ray vision. Be sure to sign up now using the links in the description or the pinned comment. New players or ones that haven't played in 6 months will receive a massive bonus back on PC and consoles. This includes premium vehicles, the Eagle of Valor vehicle decorator, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of premium. This is available for a limited time only, so be sure to sign up now. To have a higher chance of getting the Magma Blade, you need to have the Crater Shifting Earth event. Of course, going there and getting the blade on day 2 doesn't give you much time to actually use the thing. So instead, I follow the Crater meta. This is a popular route where you go to the crater as soon as possible on day 1. Using the power of friendship, or being as powerful as Raider, makes killing the first fire prelate there very easy, and this gives you enough runes to reach level 4. Then you go around killing the other fire prelates and looting all the corpses, which by the way have insanely good loot at times. And in the end, you're like level 6 or 7. And you very likely have purple weapons to fight the Magma Worm, and usually can go down pretty easily, which is gonna let you upgrade your weapon to legendary, which is a huge damage boost to get on day 1. Now all the corpses and bosses here have a much higher than normal chance of dropping the Magma Blade. And if you're playing in multiplayer, the chances of you finding it become even higher, because there are more players looting these bosses. You're also guaranteed to find fire weapons here, which is why using fire damage relics is not at all a bad idea if you're doing this. And so this entire crater route ends up being very beneficial to you anyway, so even if you don't find the Magma Blade, you're not hurting your run. Although you can get very unlucky and get a circle that doesn't include the Magma Worm Arena. But this is rare, and even in runs where I had this happen, I would still end up with purple weapons anyway, so my run wouldn't be hurt. Overall, this playstyle is one of my favorite ways to play the game. The only real downside to it is Raider's lack of FP. But even this can be fixed by you visiting a Sorcerer Rise for Starlight Shards, or visiting a Township Merchant, and these will always sell you infinite amounts of Starlight Shards. And so, if you have those on your map, you should definitely go check them out. There is a reason that Tenacity is a passive that is overlooked by most players. It gives you a 20% damage bonus for 20 seconds when you recover from a status effect. And the problem is, there are not too many ways to trigger this on yourself. Enemies inflicting status effects is not the most common thing in this game. And so 20% for 20 seconds may feel a bit underwhelming, especially for how rarely this effect triggers. And so this passive is pretty much irrelevant for like 95% of setups out there. One can't help but make the comparison between this and the Lord of Blood's Exaltation, or the Kindred of Rot Exaltation. And well, these give you the exact same buff, except they give it to you when their status effects are inflicted on anyone nearby, which is by default a much more common occurrence than Tenacity's effect. And yet Tenacity has something that these buffs do not. Stackability. You can actually stack Tenacity multiple times, getting multiple instances of its damage buff. The best way to do this is with Seppuku, and you can start with Seppuku on your starting sword using a relic effect. And this is gonna be the best way to play with Tenacity, because there are basically only 2 ways to inflict status effects on yourself, and this one is much faster than the other one. Now each stack has a separate timer, and so if you use Seppuku say 3 times, you get 8 seconds to make use of all 3 stacks before they start to expire. The damage of course stacks multiplicatively, and so for these 8 seconds you're not getting 60% of extra damage, you're getting 73%. It doesn't end there, because Seppuku adds a flat damage bonus to your weapon, and well, at a max level with a purple weapon, this is a 13% damage increase. Of course at level 1 it's more like 40%. So at max level you're getting a 95% damage increase by just doing this, and that is not to mention the increased bleed build-up that you get from using Seppuku. But why stop there? You can add a relic that gives your weapon Frostbite, which will make your weapon apply 2 status effects at once. Frostbite makes enemies take 15% more damage of course, increasing your damage even further. But you can get even higher damage. We have room to add the Eversea relic for even more damage, or a relic that increases damage against frostbitten enemies, or even both if you're lucky enough. In this scenario, with everything taken into account, we can be dealing up to 245% extra damage, so we're more than tripling our damage for some time every time that we use this. This is the relic setup that I have for this playstyle. As you can see, this doesn't really require you to be very lucky. The first relic is only there for one effect, the second one is just from the Everdark shop, and the third one is where I did get lucky by having 2 good effects on one relic. Another way you might want to use Seppuku is to boost your ultimate, because Seppuku takes away your health and your ultimate gives it all back. And of course, your ultimate's damage is affected by Tenacity, giving you much more damage when you're in that form. And so Seppuku is actually one of the best ways to have a build that prioritizes using Executor's ultimate. And so you could totally lean hard into that direction too, using relic effects that help you get to that form more often. Like Ultimate Gauge plus 3, which will make your ult gauge charge 10% faster, and also stacks with itself, so you can have multiple of these. There's also a relic effect that charges your ultimate gauge when you guard attacks, and of course deflects count as guarding. And so in multiplayer you're charging your ultimate a bit faster, but in solo you're straight up doubling how fast it charges. And finally we have a relic that charges your ultimate gauge when you kill enemies, and the amount you get back is actually pretty high, so you get to use your ultimate much more often. Now this effect may be useless against Night Lords, but the fact that you get to have your ultimate more often means that you can more easily prepare for them by being able to kill more bosses more quickly, so this is actually a very solid effect. Of course, if you want to go the route where you have your ultimate be more available, you'd probably want the relic effect that restores your HP when you roar in your ultimate. This also makes it heal your teammates, so this is a very good effect. This is my setup for this particular playstyle. I got much luckier with this one, but it's still not perfect by any means. But it doesn't have to be, and that's the point. Thanks again to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to check them out using the links in the pinned comment or the video description. And remember, new players and ones that haven't played in 6 months receive a bonus back on PC and consoles. This includes multiple premium vehicles, the Eagle of Valor vehicle decorator, 100,000 silver lions, and 7 days of premium. This is available for a limited time only, so be sure to sign up now. Anyway, whether this becomes a series entirely depends on how well this video does. And so if you like it, please leave a like, a comment, and maybe go watch my other videos. And if you want people to play with, join my Discord. That's all I had to say. Bye bye!